Hey yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Plug Talk Sports, episode 188. It is me, your favorite Jonko. Don't stop here. We're here with Brandon. You say hello, Brandon, if you want.
Come on, guys. I'm surprised I'm not like a lot of these Florida Panthers players and like falling asleep right now because that's how it's been since June 17th. But definitely excited to be here and talk sports.
Yeah, man, bro. It's been a very long week for both of us, especially Daniel. He's working at the Inter Miami game for the Club World Cup. And Brandon, he's doing some work. We're all busy, so we're glad to be able to bring you some content today. All right, we're gonna get into positives, the positive plugs and negative plugs. All right, what do you want to start off with, bro?
So my plug of the week, and I mean this is like an obvious one. Shout out to AJ Greer and Jonah Gadjevich of the Florida Panthers today. I mean these guys won this back-to-back Stanley Cups on June 17th, and they from the Elbow Room in downtown Fort Lauderdale Beach to 11 in Miami to Matthew Kachuk's house for a private party there. And I mean to take some time today to go to Caneswear, which if you haven't been over to Caneswear, beautiful place to grab all South Florida gear. Not only do they have Florida Panthers, but they got the Heat, the Marlins, the Miami Hurricanes. I mean, Miami Heat, Inter Miami CF. So a lot of stuff that you're able to grab as college football is around the corner. But really, just shout out to those guys, for coming out today. Even Anton Lundell and Itilo Sarainen. Tomorrow it's going to be a packed night there with Alexander Barkov. So it should be a fun night. I was able to head down there today and grab content, and my station was also able to head down there today and grab content. So very successful day, and glad that they're able to take some time out of their busy off-season schedules and interact with the South Florida community.
Awesome, bro. For me, my plug would have to be, I guess, again from last week's, but also I would have to say congratulations to the Florida Panthers and obviously the OKC Thunder for winning their finals. We're gonna get into that soon in a few minutes, but I will have to say just from last year, or not last year, last week, I am selling my sports cards on eBay. So if you guys want anything, I got some. Wait, I got some
He's
football.
got everything. I mean, I feel like from Dmitry Kulikov to Aaron Ekblad to
I
Patrick
got a lot of
Surtain
I
to
got a lot of
Jeremiah
football. I
Smith.
got
He's got to have
baseball. I
everything.
got soccer. I got man. I even have the super loser of the finals of this year, bro. I even got Skinner for some unknown reason
The
here,
super.
bro.
That's
I
it.
got Ellie.
I've heard.
I got Ellie.
Yeah,
I got everything here.
that's awesome.
So if you guys want to look at my collection, go to my eBay. If you need my eBay, you already know how to contact me, Jonko Don't Stop or Canes Don't Stop, and I'll send you the link. But any negatives, bro?
Not really. Like, I guess the only negative is probably the South Florida Heat during yesterday's parade.
Oh,
I mean, it was funny because I was able to grab Jonah and AJ Greer on the side for about 5-10 minutes, which a big shout out to them for speaking to me for a little bit. And the one question I asked them was, which I mean, like for especially for Jonah, which like was this parade better than last year's? And he said, I mean, obviously it was two different parades in terms of weather, but I know deep down inside, I feel like he wanted to say last year's was better because yes, it's pouring down rain, but you don't get that South Florida humid heat with it. I mean, yeah, sometimes when it rains and then it stops for 3 hours and then it's blistering outside, but yesterday the sun did not go away. So definitely a big shout out to all the South Florida fans who stood out there on Fort Lauderdale Beach down Riamar and A1A all the way to Elbow Room. I mean, I saw a tweet earlier tonight. There was 400,000 people at the parade last night.
dang.
So, but yeah, my negative out of all of this that I'm saying right now is definitely the South Florida Heat because I saw people were posting pictures online with I mean, they had a huge tan line, a huge sunburn. So thankfully I didn't go. I mean, I was there for a little bit, but I didn't stay out really all day. I kind of just drove by real quick and then kind of just headed out because I wanted to beat traffic. I also had to work in the afternoon, so.
Yeah, bro. For me, we're gonna get into it in a few seconds, but it's gonna have to be, unfortunately, the NBA's problem with, I don't know if it's a problem, but load management or how too many stars are getting injured now. We had Tatum, we got Lillard, and we have now Tyrese Halliburton.
Right.
All Achilles injuries.
And what's the common denominator? And we're obviously going to get into it more tonight, but what's the common denominator with all three of those guys?
They all wear zero, and they all wear low tops. A I like low tops when it comes to like running or walking or maybe even jogging. But when it comes to basketball, when you're having to make all these cuts and explosive plays, I don't see why they're not wearing high tops. Like when I think about basketball or basketball shoes, I think about high tops. I remember back in the day the hyper dunks, bro. Oh my god, the
Right.
Jordan 11s, Jordan 1s, bro, like the iconic stuff. They protect your ankle from anything, and it helps protect just in case you pull anything. But I will at the same time, Tyrese Halliburton knew he did have a strained calf.
Right.
He did go into it. I'm gonna force it. I'm just gonna try to play for my team because they know if they went into that game without Tyrese, it probably would have been a blowout from the first quarter. He gave him three spectacular threes.
Well, and that's the thing that really bothered me the most was, he had like you had just mentioned those three threes. It looks like he was gonna have maybe a triple double night, maybe even just a double double night. And then for that injury to happen in game 7, I mean, playing probably arguably the biggest basketball game of your entire basketball career, and for it to happen so tragically like that in the first quarter of a game 7 with like do or die so much on the line. I was actually at the Hard Rock last night watching it for a little bit, and I was telling some of my buddies that I went with, had he played all 4 quarters, or obviously he would have played 48 minutes, but let's say 30, 32 minutes, right? Like high 20s, low 30s. Had he would have played all night last night and that tragically did not happen, I think Indiana would have won the game outright. I think it was one of those nights where Indiana had all the momentum after game 6. After they got blown out the roof in game 5, which when the series was tied 2-2, we all probably knew that was going to happen. And then they'd come home for game 6, and they are honestly, I believe at one point they were up by like 25 points. So I thought if Tyrese Halliburton was in the lineup fully healthy and playing last night and that did not happen, I wouldn't have been shocked. And what a story that would have been. They were like preseason odds on Hard Rock Bet were like plus 5,000 preseason. Like nobody gave them a shot. And it also kind of makes you think like, well, where are the – I know it's not really a topic, and I'm going off topic a little bit, but where are the Miami Heat with all this? Because we have an Indiana Pacers roster with not a lot of like high-power names, but they were one win away from winning an NBA championship this season. And then another summer where Heat fans think that they're getting I guess you can say a big-time superstar. And it's like another unsuccessful summer where, okay, you thought you got Kyrie Irving, but you didn't. You thought you had Kevin Durant, you didn't, And so, I mean, it is what it is. I'm curious to see. This is obviously a hockey town. It's not even close, Whether you want to say 85, 90% of Panthers fans now are bandwagons, okay, cool, whatever you want to say. But you can't argue with, what's been going on. I mean, Paul Maurice comes here in 2023. And you get Cup final, and then you get Cup. So a lot of South Florida teams are not competing with that right now. And so, you got to just tip your cap to the Florida Panthers. And that's why right now South Florida is a major hockey town.
Hey, we're going to get into it right now, bro. Which one do you want to get started first? Stanley Cup?
Let's talk about the positives. Let's go with the 2025 Stanley Cup final.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I mean, just – coming into this series, and it's not even really just this series alone. The Florida Panthers were doubted, all season long with injuries, and it doesn't look like they're trying so hard regular season, and we're going to get into it very heavily tonight because what I found most intriguing was hearing Matthew Tkachuk postgame, what he was dealing with, hearing Paul Maurice talk postgame, what Alexander Barkov and Sam Reinhart were dealing with. I mean, listen, basketball I know has changed tremendously, the game overall with the load management and this and that. But hockey players have to be the toughest guys in all of North American sports. I mean, to hear that Matthew Tkachuk himself was saying, I was playing with a torn adductor off the bone and a hernia.
Bro, that's crazy.
For Alexander Barkov, he sliced his hand, and I believe it was game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. And then Reinhart was it game 2 or was it maybe even the last series against Carolina in the Eastern Conference Final? He was playing with a grade 2 MCL. Like, just to hear what these guys were playing through, no basketball player would have played through their hand sliced open or a fully torn adductor off the bone. First of all, I didn't even know what that was. I had to go on Google and search what that was. And when I was reading it, I was like, wow. Like, the fact that the Panthers won back-to-back Stanley Cups when their star players were dealing, because it wasn't like we're talking about like a sprained ankle, which is pretty heavily too. You sit out a couple weeks, you hope that the imaging goes well and you heal up and this and that. But a torn, anytime you hear the word torn in sports, you think, okay, his season's probably over. And even Matthew Tkachuk himself said on the TNT broadcast, like, there was plenty of times that he thought he's going to throw in the white towel, and he thought he wasn't going to be able to go. But even Paul Maurice himself said that he was, he said, quote, yeah, he was pretty messed up. Like, to hear that and the way he was able to fight through, and he also scored in the Stanley Cup final as well. It's just crazy to see what these guys go through. But huge shout out. And, there's obviously one thing on their mind now, and that's three-peat. And like I mentioned in my story already on local10.com, if they're able to three-peat, it'll be the first time since the 1980-83 New York Islanders, who won 4 consecutive Stanley Cups. Well, the Panthers are looking to become the first.
Won 4 or went to 4?
They won 4 consecutive Stanley Cups. They'll when the 2025-26 season kicks off this upcoming October. We don't know dates and times yet. We don't know preseason schedule, but assuming it's like that every year, the season usually starts around early October. If the Panthers are able to lift the cup again, they'll become the first team in the modern era since the 80-83 Islanders to win 3 or more consecutive Stanley Cups. Damn. So it's unbelievable. And what I love about this team, too, is every time you talk to them, and that's why I'm so excited to talk to Barkov tomorrow, talk to Nate Schmidt, whose future is undecided because he is a current free agent come July 1st, is that they don't have anything negative to say about anybody. They don't have a negative thing to say about Paul Maurice. They don't have a negative thing to say about Bill Zito. There's nothing negative to say about Vinny Viola. And to hear these guys, they all take a trip to, whether it's Dairy Queen or they all take a trip to downtown Fort Lauderdale, or even when they go on the road. Because remember, 41 home games during the regular season goes along with 41 road games. And, these guys are traveling. They're always with each other. And that's, I asked one of them today, I asked, culture. Why is culture such a big thing in sports today? It's because winning helps with everything. And when you're winning consecutively and winning nonstop, and you ask these guys, why have you guys been winning so much and how have you guys been able to do it? The first thing they say is, camaraderie, culture. And so culture is a big word. It's honestly, I hope the Miami Dolphins, led by Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa, I don't want to sound so negative and jump on the gun here and talk football, but I hope they're taking notes, because what this Florida Panthers team has done since Paul Maurice took over for Andrew Burnett, it's been very, very impressive.
Yeah, bro. You talk about the damn Dolphins, bro. You bring up the Dolphins. All I've been hearing is Tyreek is trying to recover that relationship with Jalen Ramsey, trying to leave. Oh, You there?
I'm here.
Okay. Well, you were talking about the culture, bro. I just think they're just always together. They hang out.
All right.
They, even during a loss or a win, they're like, all right, what did we do wrong? What did we do right?
All right.
We'll fix it, and we'll play again next game, and we'll handle our business. Like, they don't really hang on what happened. They're just like, all right, let's watch the film. All right, I did this, I did that. We're supposed to do this. All right, they want to play like that. We'll play a little bit more physical. They make the changes. I love it. I love it. And then for anybody that's hating on the Panthers right now, for anybody watching that hates the Panthers, what could you possibly hate? Or are you just being a straight-up hater because they drafted right, they made trades correctly, they chose the right people,
right.
They have the right culture, they have the right coach. Like, what are you hating on? Like, if it was your team, you would be livid right now. You'd be ecstatic of how your team was being run.
I think we're all just shocked because we didn't think this would happen with Paul Maurice. But one thing Paul Maurice has said since he took over the head coach job was he got off the phone on the first day and he was like, there's just something different about these guys. Like, there's something different. Now, at the time, I didn't know what that meant. You probably didn't know what that meant. None of the media guys, the in-house report, nobody probably knew what that meant. But he was trying to say, like, these guys love each other. These guys are always around. Like it's like you always it's like that. Like you don't like someone who's so cleany, but when you think about the Florida Panthers, they're so cleany with each other. But sometimes maybe you have to be like that, and that's what leads to all this winning and all this success. I mean, I'm telling you, there's not one guy on this team. Like I can't say Aaron Ekblad talks negatively about Gustav Forsling or Paul Maurice talks negatively about some of his assistant coaches. I never hear anything negative come out of their mouth. I saw something the other day on Twitter, I believe it was, or X, excuse me, where former Dolphins lineman Kendall Lamb said the reason why the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl this past year was because nobody's late to team meetings. Nobody's, being toxic in the locker room or behind closed doors. And then usually after practice, they get together and spend about 15, 20 minutes with each other and talk about personal things that are going on, whether it's something dealing with their pets and their mental. I thought that was, and he even said in the end, he was like, I never got that with us. Like, I never got that with the Miami Dolphins. And that stood out to me because I'm like, we always talk about why the Dolphins are this and why they're that and why they're not winning and why there's always changes with them. Well, it starts with team bonding. I mean, you have to be with, no one's saying you got to be with the team 24 hours a day, but the way these Florida Panthers, and they're on top of each other like glue, but they're doing so in a positive way. And that's why you see the consistent success that they're having.
Yeah, bro, that right there, all those words you just said sounded exactly like my Patriots team from last year with Gerard Mayo. The atrocity. The guy did not know he was just gifted a head coaching job. He was thankful, but he just didn't know what he was doing. He was just there like, oh my god, I got the head coach. Oh my god. But you had players, Keon White and other players, you're saying like, bro, we don't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. And all of a sudden, Mike Vrabel comes in, and he's now all of a sudden people are like, bro, we finally like now this guy's an actual coach. Like I feel like I've progressed from the couple months that he's been here over the entire season that we had Gerard Mayo. And that's a statement for you to say that like that, like as great as he was as a defensive player for the Patriots, like it just didn't end up well, whatever. But for the Panthers, bro, for everybody watching right now, think about this for a second. Let's say they re-sign Bennett.
And that's the thing. We didn't even talk about because they do have some key free agents this offseason.
And let's say that they make it work, right? They sign Marchand, they sign Jones, and Bennett.
It's Bennett, Marchand, Ekblad, Nate Schmidt, and I believe they're gonna have to sign another backup goaltender because Vitek Vanacek, I believe, is the unrestricted.
Well, let's just say they re-sign Bennett. They probably get a discount for Marchand, and who knows if they make a trade, but whatever. Let's say they make those trades, right?
It's also hold on, excuse me a sec. It's also Tomas Nosek, Nico Sturm, Mackie Samoskevich, but he's a restricted free agent. Jacob Medna, Nate Schmidt, Aaron Ekblad, and then Vitek Vanacek. So they're gonna have to sign a backup goaltender behind Sergei Bobrovsky, who again, shout out to Sergei Bobrovsky. I feel like sometimes he doesn't get the overall credit that he deserves. So major shout out to Sergei Bobrovsky. I probably would say that the team would not be in this position right now if it wasn't for stellar goaltending play. So
I want to put everybody that's listening to this right now live, and the NHL, and every NFL, and any sports fan out there, and a hockey fan. If the Panthers re-sign Bennett, they get Marchand, they sign Ekblad, and they maybe make a trade for a backup goalie, like you said, or they try to get Mitch Marner, I think that's his name.
Yeah, Mitch Marner from the Toronto Maple Leafs.
People are not realizing that we got Seth Jones and we got Marchand at half the season, at the trade deadline.
Dude,
they haven't been playing an entire season.
What's so scary about this, I'm going to say this is starting to become a dynasty because it is. Because 3 years, you won back-to-back cups. You're probably favored to win the cup again if you bring all these guys back. They're probably favored to win the Stanley Cup again right now. My guess, gun to head, they're probably going to re-sign Sam Bennett. I mean, yes, he was drunk at 11, and he said, I ain't bleeping leaving. I don't think you're going, on camera and saying that if you weren't coming back. Now, again, I won't believe it until I see pen to paper, but they even had a background at Club 11 the other night, and it said 8 more years. So I would imagine Sam Bennett, again, gun to head, I would imagine he's coming back. Brad Marchand, I've been hearing things that he might test the market, but then I heard another report today from, I would say he is a very credible source from I believe it was the NHL Network, that Brad Marchand's likely to stay in Florida. So, I mean, again, he was at elbow room the other night, and everybody's saying, Marchand, don't leave, and he's holding up 4 fingers. So I don't know if that means he's staying for another 4 years. Does that mean he wants to win back to back to back to back? Does that mean he wants he's going to be making $4 million in average annual value? I don't know what that means. Again, these guys are having the time of their lives right now, but I would definitely imagine that behind closed doors, when it's all said and done, when you and I are probably sleeping, they're probably, discussing contract, terms. In terms of Aaron Edblatt, I think he might be the lone man out just because I think his average annual value for this past year, if I'm not mistaken, was $7.5 million. I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I'm on Puckpedia right now, which is a very credible, site with all hockey related. Aaron Edblatt. I don't even see. Let me see. Aaron Edblatt.
Got you right now. He's a UFA. He's 7.5 mil.
Right. So I would imagine if they were gonna, I don't know if the Panthers can afford it. I mean, I think right now, come this summer, they're gonna have $19 million, I believe, in salary cap to spend. And again, they need to address a backup goaltender because there's gonna be nights where Sergei Bobrovsky needs a rest. So where's Bill Zito going to go to nets? Where is Rob Tallis going to go do nets? So that's something that the team really needs to focus on. So, of course, Aaron Ekblad was drafted by the Florida Panthers. You would love to have him back. He said it over and over. He lives for the Panthers. He'll die for the Panthers. He bleeds Florida Panthers hockey. So he wants to be here. The unfortunate question is, I always say, with sports comes business. What are the Panthers going to do? So definitely a key summer in Sunrise this summer. But like I said in my interview the other day, when you have Paul Maurice as your head coach, Vinny Viola as your team's owner, and Bill Zito as your team's general manager, I would say I'm in pretty good hands. Let them do their jobs, and we'll hope everything pans out in a positive manner.
I'm trying to see here. They're projected $19 million in cap space for next year. Let me see. For next year, Barkov is expected in 10 mil.
Right.
Kachuk with 9.5.
A lot of Reinhardt guys are signed for a very long time.
And Verhey 7. Lundell with 5. I personally, I would trade Lundell.
That's a bold take.
I don't know, bro. I just feel like I understand he's young. Maybe you need to give him some more playing. I guess more of a bigger.
Look, Barkov, Kachuk, and Lundell are going to be free agents in 2030, right? Reinhardt 2032, Verhage 20.
Yeah, from 2033. Lundell, Verhage, Reinhardt, Kachuk, and Barkov will all be unrestricted free agents in 2030. 32 and 33.
I mean, listen.
So 2033, Verhage, 2032, Sam Reinhart, and everybody else is 2030.
Yeah, this Florida Panthers team is, whether you like the Panthers, and like Sam Bennett even said in his speech yesterday at the parade, I'm not going to quote the full thing he said, but he said something along the lines of they don't like the way we play. They think we're bullies. They think we're too tough. And then he quotes, the famous, I want to apologize to absolutely effing no, so that right there was funny. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, when you put your head on the pillow before going to bed, they don't care what you think. And whether you like it or not, the Florida Panthers are going to become NHL's next dynasty, if they're not already. Again, 3 years under Paul Maurice, 1 Stanley Cup final, 2 back-to-back Stanley Cup championships. I don't see this team going away anytime soon. So, again, even if you were to ask me gun to head, is this team going to three-peat? Why would I say no? I mean, I think this team is just ran well. I mean, you can rest Sam Reinhart 20 games and Barkov 5 games, and they're so talented. They have so much depth. They always talk about depth. I mean, when you got Marchand playing on the third line, he looks like he should have been on your first line during the Stanley Cup final. I mean, even Nate Schmidt, some of his heroics that we saw in the first round against the Tampa Bay Lightning, like they just have talent. And I hope the Panthers find a way to re-sign Nate Schmidt. Maybe he earned himself a contract somewhere else where he'll obviously get paid a lot more money, and it'll be like one of those situations where Ryan Lomberg left last offseason.
Yeah.
Guys came to Florida to fix their overall style
Larson
of
too.
game, and they get a higher contract somewhere else. So who knows? We'll see.
I just think that there is not one team. I mean, listen, I get the Edmonton Oilers are really good. They got McDavid. They got a couple good other players. But just think about this for a second. We had Seth Jones and we had Marchand for half a season. And if it wasn't for a 3-1 comeback and a 3-0 comeback,
Right.
this series is an absolute sweep. Think about it. We had those leads. It just somehow, some way, we gave up those leads. If we just actually gave an F in those games and didn't give up those leads, how good is this team really? How good are the Oilers really, bro?
I mean,
I don't believe it.
This series won 6 games, but no, you're right. I mean, to your point, they blew a 3-1 lead in game 1. They blew a 3-0 lead on home ice in game 4. It could have been a sweep. The Panthers looked like the better team. They utilized the forecheck so well. I just, even coming into this playoff, I was like, and shout out to guys like AJ Greer and Tomas Nosek.
Yeah,
When
bro.
Florida was down 2-0 against the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Eastern Conference semifinals, everybody thought, okay, is this where the Panthers back-to-back run ends? Is this where are the Toronto Maple Leafs going to get them now? And the Panthers dominated, won the next 3 games, obviously before Toronto won Game 6 at Amerant Bank Arena, and there was a Game 7. But even Game 7, Florida utilized their forecheck, played Florida Panthers hockey to the T, and they ran away with that in Game 7. And that's a Game 7. It's like I was telling people, had the Panthers lost Game 6 on home ice of the Stanley Cup final, I'm talking here, I would have been confident above the moon that they would have walked into Edmonton at Rogers Place and they would have destroyed the Oilers in Game 7. Because I think this team is fundamentally better on the road than they are at home. And we've seen it all play out. We saw it last year in the playoffs.
Yep.
We saw it this past season. Like, there was no doubt in my mind that if the Panthers fell short in Game 6, they were not going to win that. They were going to win that Stanley Cup in Game 7.
Bro, I was saying that before the series started, during the series, and after the series, the Oilers are a mentally weak team. Now, then, they win Game 1, bro. I had Danny on my phone. I had people on Twitter coming at me, bro. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm just like, buddy, guys, listen, relax. They had a 3-1. They were down 3-1, and all of a sudden we literally just stopped caring. I don't know what happened in those 2 comebacks, but if you could just tell from the body language and how the players were playing, they did not care. They just knew, like, all right, we're just gonna drop this game, and then we're gonna have some extra rest, come the next game, and then beat their ass.
And it was funny because what ended up happening in Game 2, not only does it go into overtime, it goes into double overtime before
that was
ends it. But
and that was like, when we went to the
you talked about rest, but it's like you thought maybe Game 2 would be over in regulation, but it was over in double overtime. So there certainly was no rest after Game 2.
Bro, you gotta give the respect to where it's due, bro. The Panthers have done everything the way it's supposed to have been done. You can call them dirty all you want if you want to be that petty, but we're not dirty. We won it fair and square. We beat the Oilers back to back. We lost the first time because we didn't have an experience.
I also think they lost that 2023 Cup final against the Vegas Golden Knights because they were just so injured. I mean, and I know I'm not saying that the Panthers were healthy this. I mean, because from hearing how all these guys were, nobody's healthy come June, especially when you're playing from October of 2024 to June of 2025. I mean, guys aren't going to be healthy, but they're so tough. They're so gritty. They're just so passionate about that back-to-back feeling. They want to play for the city, for the guys, for the coaches, for their loved ones and families. I think that 2023 they were so new to all this, and being the last seed in the Eastern Conference to get in, and the magical run they did to knock off Boston, to knock off Toronto, to knock off Carolina, and then Vegas. You thought maybe when the Panthers beat Vegas in overtime, in game 3, I thought maybe there was a chance, but then when they lost game 4, I was like, that's hard now to go back to Vegas and down 3-1. But I believe Kachuk that year had a broken sternum. Like, he couldn't even get out of bed, he was saying. It was crazy stories that I was hearing post game. But speaking of, the positives obviously come the negatives, and you touched on it earlier with Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, just so tragic to see do or die game 7. This is something you dream about since you're a little boy playing basketball, whether it's with mom and dad or brother and sister, cousins, aunts, uncles, and you're sitting there thinking in your head, man, game 7 of the NBA finals, and I have a chance to take over and be, the next biggest thing in our sport. And then boom, in an instant like that, a torn Achilles. I think we all knew, they obviously said today on ESPN and Twitter and Shams Charania, breaking news, but we didn't really, we knew it wasn't breaking. Yeah. We knew last night when we saw that.
We knew like a halftime, bro, when his dad said it.
Right. But my biggest question that I want to ask you was, when you take a look at those 7 games, a lot of people thought the Thunder were going to run away with this, right? They thought they were going to run away in 5. Some even thought a sweep. What did you take away, though, maybe that the Miami Heat can learn, where you might not have you might not need to have the most talented team, but if you have a gritty team, if you have a team that has heart, passion, because there were guys some nights where you're like, Obi Toppin, okay, Obi, and then like Andrew Nembhard, Thomas Bryant. The Pacers would not go away. I think their biggest screw up was blowing game 4. I think when the Pacers had a 2-1 lead, then they had home court still for game 4. Had they taken care of business and not blown that second half lead in game 4, bro, I think we're talking about a whole different scenario here, where maybe the Pacers are the NBA champions instead of the Oklahoma City Thunder. But overall, great 7-game series. But just from your perspective, what'd you take away from those 7 games?
You're gonna listen. Everybody better listen to this right now. If Halliburton doesn't go down, Pacers are NBA champs. Now that's not the hot take. What is the hot take is the only reason that, let's say, OKC even won this game was because, even the series was because of the refs not calling the rows fairly. Now, people are going to say, "Oh, they had the." I think I read it was the same number of fouls for all 7 games. It was like 160 something to 160 something, and I'm like, guys, if you think all fouls are treated equally, then you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
The amount, I think it was Shea is 0-3 when he gets less than double-digit free throws. Like, the guy is pushing off almost every other play. Lou Dortz legit is grabbing people. Caruso is pushing people. And somehow they're not calling the fouls. Bro, they called 3 fouls in the first half for Naismith, who's one of their best defenders and one of their best shooters and one of their clutchest shooters. Like, guys, what are we doing? They literally took out. They knew what they were doing. Once they gave 2 early fouls to Naismith, they had to bring in Nembhard, and he isn't that physically big enough to handle a Jalen Williams or a Lou Dortz or something like that. It's not enough. TJ McConnell, yeah, he had a great third quarter, but you could just tell that he didn't have that presence that Tyrese Halliburton has. So I think the refs kind of ruined the series, bro, because of all the foul calls that weren't being called for. It was not equal. I don't care what anybody tells me. It's because of the fouls. Now you could say, yeah, it's a cheap way to call this, to say it. But if anybody that knows me in real life, I'll say it as it is, in your face or not, that the refs gave the OKC Thunder the series. They gave the OKC Thunder the series. This series should have been done maybe in 5 or 6 if the Pacers were given the fair calls. Like, let's be honest. Are we really gonna give Shea that like 15, like let's say 10 to 15 free throws a game, bro? Like, I'm looking everybody dead in the face. Do you think any player, especially Shea, deserves 15 free throws a game? 10 to
I
15?
honestly thought at one point, I thought after Jalen Williams, I believe it was game 5, dropped 40 points, I believe, or 40 plus points. I thought maybe he can maybe overpass Shea for the finals MVP. But I don't know how they determine finals MVP. I guess it's obviously how you perform throughout the finals. But I thought maybe since Shea won the regular season MVP, I thought they would maybe switch it up and give Jalen, because Jalen Williams he's a superstar in the making. I mean, that kid, he's so deadly with his left hand. I was watching some of those layups he performed last night. I mean, super, super incredible.
I will say Shea did show up when he needed to because the rest of the players were not showing up
Right.
because Indiana was legit putting all the pressure on the other floor, and they just left whoever was guarding Shea out in the out in the in the trenches, bro. It's like, hey, you deal with him, bro, because we're not getting any foul calls, and they're always they're gonna put a big player on Shea because of the amount of foul calls that he gets. It's ridiculous. So so at this point, it's like, all right, you want to treat him like that? All right, fine. You want to give him the foul calls? Fine. The game was 103 to 91, a 12-point game. You gonna tell me you beat this team by 12 without Tyrese, and Tyrese basically hit like 30 plus foot threes in like the first couple minutes of the game,
Right.
and it kind of looked like he was on a crazy game, like on a crazy streak right now.
Tyrese Halliburton gets 15, 20 points last night.
It makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference because now you're talking about a single-digit game, and we've seen the heroics that Tyrese Halliburton had all playoff long, whether it was against Cleveland or the Milwaukee Bucks, and we all saw what happened in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Knicks. So it would have been possible. That's why I wanted to see a fully healthy Tyrese Halliburton. Then it kind of makes you think, well, did head coach Rick Carlisle maybe overplay Halliburton too much in Game 5? Maybe they should have sat him for Game 5. They knew they were probably going to get blown out in OKC, and then you make him fully healthy. Because I honestly don't think Tyrese Halliburton was healthy for Game 6. Even though he played decently well, had a couple nice passes, had that beautiful assist to Pascal Siakam for the dunk. But I don't know. I mean, it's something that they're going to be thinking about for a long time. And Shams Charania came out with a report today that he's likely to miss the entire 2025-26 season, which, of course, because he had the injury in late June, and you're talking about the new season starts July, August. It's like, what, 3.5 months, 4 months, if that. And it's like, he's not going to be healthy for that. That's going to take a full year to heal up. So just horrible that happened.
I want to, you guys watch it, bro. You guys can comment. You tell us what you think, but I don't know what they're gonna do with this kind of scheduling. For me, I'm kind of an old head. Like, nobody was complaining back then about how the schedule was.
Right.
All of a sudden, everybody's so softy. Is like, oh, we need more time off. We need more time off. I'm like, buddy, you're making millions of dollars, like more than any person would probably make in a lifetime, and you're telling me you need time off. I'm like, no. Listen, you work a 9 to 5, and then you make me play basketball. Let's see how that works out, bro. Like, let's stop it, please. But yeah, bro. Like, OKC, bro. I like their team. They have a really good. They've drafted well. They've done everything they can.
Well, shout out Sam Presti as well. I mean,
Bro.
they developed well. They, I believe, tanked for about 2-3 years to get to this point. It was funny last night because I'm watching the game at work and I'm thinking, what are Seattle Supersonics fans thinking right now? Because remember, it was called the Seattle Supersonics before the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then my other train of thought that I was going through my brain last night was, what are James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook thinking? Because remember when they were the big three in 2012 when they played LeBron, coming off that horrible 2011 Finals loss against Dallas, the Heat were huge favorites in that series. So it's like those were two. I mean, I love how the camera panned over to Jalen Williams too towards the end of the fourth quarter, and he was sitting there crying because he's probably thinking to himself, "Damn, this is our first ever championship for the city of Oklahoma, for the entire franchise." And to think about the great names that came before him, before Shea, before Chet Holmgren, before Lou Dort. So I thought that moment was cool, but there was definitely a lot of interesting thoughts I was thinking last night because I'm like, man, if you're a Seattle Supersonics fan, like I thought maybe at one point the camera would pan over to the crowd. Maybe there would have been a few fans that were wearing Supersonics jerseys, but I didn't see any of that. So
Now you mentioned something earlier in the show about how this Pacers team has a bunch of like a roster with just a bunch of people like no names or like something like that.
yeah, I don't really. I mean, yeah, I don't want to say no names, but
Or
like you
like,
know what I mean. Like, there's no Jason Tatum's and there's no like Luka Doncic.
but let me just tell you this, bro. Let me just tell you this. They have Obi Toppin, who was the 8th pick in the 2020 draft.
All right.
They got Halliburton, who was the 12th pick in the draft. They got Aaron Naismith, who's the 14th pick in that draft. They got Isaiah Stewart, who was the 16th. And then who else? Who else is it? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember who. I forgot who it was. That's four top 15 players, bro, in the draft from 2020. That's crazy. All from trades.
And remember too, Tyrese Halliburton was a member of the
Kings, yeah.
before.
And I don't even know how, bro. The Kings must be hitting themselves, bro, because they even traded De'Aaron Fox, and they just did. Oh yeah, we're gonna trade De'Aaron Fox. We're gonna keep Sabonis. Dumbass. They're seriously, bro. What is this? Oh, we got a question from JCL. Funny. How about we were about to jump into this? Opinion on the Durant trade. Tell me, Brandon. Tell me.
It was funny. One of my, a buddy of mine that I was close friends with when I was in high school actually DM'd me last night and was asking me about that. And I honestly responded. I said, the disappointment on their faces every summer is just baffling because it is. It's like we first talked about, Kyrie Irving might be a member of the Heat. Oh, Giannis Antetokounmpo could be a member of the Heat next offseason. Oh, Kevin Durant might be a member of the Heat come offseason. Like, it's these big names that always float around, and it's like Pat Riley doesn't want to pull the trigger. Now, again, there were reports that they didn't want to, they didn't want to accept a trade, including, I believe it was Haywood Highsmith, Nikola Jovic, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Khalil Ware. I mean, like, obviously young guys that they're still developing and they're still – so my theory is I hope it works out that if you truly felt like this wasn't the right thing to do and trade whomever you had to trade for Kevin Durant, who, let's call it what it is. Kevin Durant's not 25 years old anymore. He is an agent. He is aging. He's obviously not getting younger, but he's still one of the best perimeter shooters of all time. Now, obviously, health has been a pretty big issue over him the last couple of years. And it's also, too, what kind of player is he with the media? What kind of player is he, locker room, inside the locker room, outside the locker room? He kind of reminds me of Tyreek Hill a little bit in terms of, like, he's always on social media. And I don't know from a player's perspective if that's a good or a bad thing. I don't think that really is a good thing all of the time. So my thought really is just I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra and Mickey Arison and, upper management for the Heat didn't pull the trigger. I've seen this, fairy tale before. It's had the same ending every time. I also found it funny how Shams broke it during the Panthers parade, because how funny would that have been if, you're enjoying your favorite hockey team back-to-back Stanley Cups, and then boom, Shams puts out a tweet saying Kevin Durant's been traded to the Miami Heat. Like, that would have been an ultimate, like, Shams bomb. We used to always say Woj bomb.
Yeah.
That right there would have been funny. But when I initially read the tweet, I thought to myself, okay, like, I'm gonna repost it and that's it. I'm gonna move on, because I know they did say that the Heat were one of the 2 finalists that they did speak to deeply, and they finally came to an agreement early Sunday morning. But I'm not surprised. I mean, I don't. The East, though, you could argue that the East is wide open, especially with this Tyrese Halliburton injury.
And Tatum and Lillard.
Right. You got Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard, and Tyrese Halliburton go down, and now it's like they're out for the foreseeable future. So now it's like, what are the Heat going to do? What about the Orlando Magic? They look like a team that's on the rise. And, what's going to happen next with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland and the Cleveland Cavaliers? So a lot of interesting questions, but I don't know if the Heat are in that Panthers territory yet in terms of we can start talking finals again.
Like, I understand he's a 37-year-old. I can see why people are hesitant, or why they were hesitant on trying to trade for him. But at the same time, like, if the cards don't match, if the trade isn't what you want it to be, or it's not equal, don't make the trade.
Right.
Like, KD couldn't carry the Suns to even the conference finals. They were on the second round. And so we're expecting him to carry, be a third option or a second option, maybe even a first option on this team. Like, Bam hasn't shown up when the games matter most. Has he showed up? Yeah, sure. Like, in the regular season, when the games really don't matter that much, when it comes to like I guess importance. But at the same time, what are you going to expect a 37-year-old KD to do for you? Like, is there another star on that team? And I don't see Hero or Bam as a star. I'm sorry. I think they're good, like, teammate. I guess, like, they're good, like, how do you say, role players, or like players that need to take that next step, but they haven't taken it. But KD is there to be a number two. We don't have a number one. And plus, he is 37, so he's not going to be making a lot of efforts to get into the paint or try to make any, like, explosive plays. Now, I wouldn't say like a pick and roll with KD and Bam. And Palmeiras just tied the game 2-2.
Oh, it did. Oh, it's funny. For a minute I thought it was 1-0 for the longest.
Oh, you said good supporting cast players. Yeah, man. It's the Heat. Like, okay, they didn't want to give up Khalil Ware. They didn't want to give up Jovic. They like what do these teams expect us to do, bro? The same thing for Giannis. The same thing for Lillard with the Blazers. The same thing for KD. These teams expect us to make a trade and give up the entire damn effing team for one player, and then for the player to come over here, and then we have no bench, no role players, no nothing, and it's basically like we're starting from scratch again. Oh yeah, but we got the player though. Like, it's the same thing over and over. Oh yeah, Pat Riley didn't get the guy, and I'm trying to blame the NBA and Adam Silver for allowing this to happen. Like, that Desmond Bain trade, those Rudy Gobert trades, like, are so lopsided. It's ridiculous, bro. Like 6-7 first round picks for Gobert, 4 first rounders for Desmond Bain. And I'm like, bro, what are we talking about, guys? It's Gobert and Desmond Bain. They're not like world beaters. They're not game changers. I would understand if it's like a big star player. Okay, multiple first rounds are like a given. Bro, but like for role players, nah, I'm sorry, bro. And Gobert couldn't even guard Luka, bro. It's just because Luka doesn't play defense that the Lakers didn't beat that ass. Let's be truthful here, bro.
Well, my theory about all this too is that one of those things where they saw the whole Jimmy Butler fiasco play out, and they didn't want to have to deal with that with Kevin Durant. Like, maybe, like, let's say he comes here, right, and the 2025-26 season kicks off, and the Heat aren't doing so well. Again, I'm just talking like hypothetical terms. I don't know. Maybe he did actually want to come, and the financial terms didn't work out. But what if things didn't work out in terms of overall record? The Heat were struggling. They couldn't win games in the Eastern Conference. And then all of a sudden he turns into a toxic problem. Like, maybe that could have been it. I don't know. Like, we it's things that I feel like a lot of in-house, beat guys don't talk about. They don't talk about those. We didn't think this whole Jimmy Butler thing. Like, would we even be talking about Kevin Durant if Jimmy Butler was still a member of the Heat? Probably not.
You brought up Jimmy Butler. Like, this is another thing where I kind of have a problem with Pat Riley and how things have gone lately.
What's the
Like
score, by the
we
way?
basically got nothing for
Right.
Jimmy Butler. We got Andrew Wiggins and I forgot Nick Anderson for Jimmy Butler. Like you couldn't even fight for Kaminga or maybe like two first rounders, like something you could have used for a future trade, so that we maybe when this in this situation we could have used those extra picks or extra players to then facilitate the trade. But no, you because you allowed the situation with Jimmy Butler to happen, you allowed that fiasco. Now you're in this situation now where you can't really trade for anything because what you have is basically your bench, and you can't give up that bench because they're your bread and butter because you're that team that likes to develop no names, and you're always in the middle of the pack, so you'll never get a first overall pick. So what do you expect the Heat to do? Like, what do you expect Pat Riley to do when you're in that situation where you're too prideful to lose and take an off year or two to then work up some draft capital and maybe trade away some players and then restart again? But at the same time, you're not really making any plays. Okay, let's say for example, right now, Westbrook is available. Do you sign Westbrook?
I mean, what is his role going to be? Like, are we? I
I
mean, he's
would
probably going to be on the bench. I don't
I
see him
would if listen,
this
I
part of his career.
Terry Rozier needs to go. Get rid of Rozier, get rid of his contract, right? And then you sign Davian Mitchell, who gave you beautiful minutes.
Right.
Sign him. All right, there you go. Now you have a two guard, and you got maybe another point guard there to work with Tyler Hero coming off the bench. You sign Westbrook with a veteran experience to work with Hero, Bam, and Khalil Ware, and then you maybe work with another like Jovic at the 4 or the 3. Bro, it's not that bad of a roster if you just make the right moves. Like we just saw the Pacers with the right mindset. Well, let me see what did JC sell. Butler was becoming too toxic and too disruptive. He sold him for a loss. He was ruining the rest of the team.
Well, yeah, but you also have to remember that Jimmy Butler was becoming too toxic and too disruptive because he wanted to get more money, and management, I guess, said they would work out something, and then it never led to that. And him and Pat Riley started butting heads, and it just became downhill and downhill from there. So, I mean, yeah, that's why. Like, I don't want people to think he just woke up and decided, okay, today I'm going to be disruptive. I'm going to be toxic to the team. I'm going to miss team meetings. I'm not going to board team flights. Like, it's not. That's not what happened. Now, again, am I saying Jimmy Butler is all right here? No, he's not. He's not right 100%. But we don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
Listen, I didn't like how Jimmy Butler went out. Say it straight up. But at the same time, I cannot hate him too much because he did ask for a star player or a back or a number one or number two that lessens his load, and he could provide you a little bit more without gassing out. We saw that when he got injured the Knicks a couple years ago, and also in the Lakers series in 2020 where he was just basically gassed because there was nobody else.
What was the final score for this soccer game?
It's still going. It's 2-2. It's in extra time, I think.
So if they're tied after a full 90, that's it. It's over.
If Inter Miami is draws or wins, they move on. I think if I'm correct. But well, if anything happens, I'll let you guys know. I'll make an announcement. Yeah,
Okay.
Inter Miami is tied 2-2 with Palmeiras in the FIFA Club World Cup. That is where Daniel is right now. So shout out to Daniel if you're watching this. Oh, what a block! Oh my God!
Now is this
What a save!
by who?
What a save!
Full time.
The game has finished with a 2-2 draw.
Wow, I thought. I mean, you.
Oh my, bro, that save at the end, bro, that's crazy. Oh, I guess tomorrow's Messi's birthday, which is why everybody's like, I guess celebrating. Bro,
Wait, but
Suarez
was
was
it
gassed.
Palomares saving Inter Miami or Inter Miami saving Palomares?
I don't know. That looked. I need to see the replays because obviously we're doing the show. But bro, so Inter Miami was up 2-0, and then they go and they tie it 2-2, and then now to now the game's over for a draw. All right, yeah. So where was I?
About Jimmy.
Okay, yeah. I at the same time you need to give him a 1 or 2, bro, because what more do he asked you for a bunch of years. In 2020, he told you it wasn't enough. Like they were too small. They go into play a couple years later with Denver Nuggets. They were too small. They weren't. That matchup was not. It shouldn't have been legal, bro. It should have not been allowed. But somehow they made a miraculous run from the 8th seed, and then since then they still haven't made any big moves. No big stars have come in. It's always been the same thing. Draft a player around the 20th pick. All right, he comes in, you develop him in the offseason. He ends up being top 3, top 4 in the rookie of the year candidate. But yet you don't start him, and then he becomes better than you. Teams see him all right, this guy's actually better than we thought. And then whenever you want to make a trade for a big player, there you go. That team now wants your first year rookie. It's the same story over and over and over again. They wanted Jaime. Oh, now they want Khalil Ware. Oh, you got Jovic. All right, now you want Jovic, bro. It's at some point, watch this coming season. Watch, they're gonna see Pele Larson. He's gonna go off, and now everybody's gonna be wanting Pele Larson in a
Well,
trade.
that's why a lot of people are excited about this Heat roster is because there's such a young roster with a lot of promising names, but people want to see results. And I just don't think right now you're not gonna. I don't. That's why I think the Heat are not in that championship. They're not in that championship contender.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, Hero came in 2020. He's been in the league for 5 years, heading into 6. I think the same. I think kind of the same thing for Bam, maybe 6 or 7 years. It's, I mean, they are young, but I mean at this point they've been to 2 finals. They've been in plenty of playoff situations where that experience has put you over a lot of people. Damn, and then you see this situation with the Pacers now.
right.
Bro, I don't want to hear any excuses. If you can get the right roster down and the right motivation, you can make a run. But it just seems like there's always a situation. There's never enough shooters. There's never enough, not this, not that. Whatever. If somebody wants out, they make a trade. It's not enough. They can't get rid of this. Oh, and then there's never. I've always said that since the Heat drafted Dwayne Wade, there hasn't been another comparable star that they've drafted since then. There hasn't been that guy. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. OKC drafted Westbrook. They drafted Durant. They SGA. Bro, they're all stars. Where is the superstar for the team? Where's that guy that will carry us to the promised land? The Heat have yet to draft that guy. They're just drafting for necessity. They're not drafting as talent. We have to work 10 times harder to get a basket because we're built, or how do you say, we're developing mediocre talent when we're not developing exceptional talent. So we will always be a step behind, but because we put in maximum effort, because the Heat culture,
Well, hey,
we always get gassed out at the very end because we always have to be the 8th seed or the 7th seed and put in the play in, and then we have to play the first seed or the 2nd seed all the time. Tell me I'm wrong.
we talk about Heat culture, but that's a phrase that I told people to stop saying it. I mean, as it officially hits 11 o'clock, nearing the end of our episode tonight, I told people stop saying Heat culture because until I see consistent results on the basketball court, you can't really say we're the toughest, most physical team and then get absolutely annihilated by the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round of postseason play. You just can't. So I mean, to your point, I am excited to see what happens, see what young guns they have. Again, they didn't want to make this trade because they're obviously confident that they can develop Khalil Ware more and Pele Larson and Nikola Jovic, and we just got to see. We just got to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate event that's occurring with the Heat right now. I don't know what they're gonna do. Supposedly they let let Pat Riley cook because he might be cooking up something in the background with Giannis. I don't believe it. Maybe you can work out like a 3, 4, 5 team trade. That could possibly work.
I was going to say, if the Heat don't get Durant, since the Heat didn't get Durant, what are you going to give up for Giannis? Because Giannis is one of this game's
They
best.
said apparently the Heat are gonna try to Kaminga from the Warriors since he hasn't signed an extension yet. They might try to go for Kaminga as like a future star for the team. Who else? Michael Porter Jr. maybe from the Nuggets. I don't even know, bro. I've always said that he should sign, not because he's a player, not because of that, because he's done good in the G League. He's done good for the Clippers. Jordan Miller, former Hurricane, Miles Turner to the Heat. Honestly, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I like Miles Turner. I really do. I just think that sometimes he tries to play point guard too much, or tries to play Jokic, and he ends up turning the ball over a bit too much. But I think with Spoelstra coaching and developing it a little bit more, I think he become a real good player for us, and which will allow Bam to spread the court up a little bit more. But we got to see in time. In time, we'll see what happens because I've been hearing that Giannis might stay in Milwaukee because they still have Portis. They still got Giannis. They still got Brook Lopez. Dame is coming back. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be coming back next year because of the Achilles. So I don't know. It's it's a really sticky situation right now in the NBA. But I want to ask you guys: would you guys want us to go live? And spam it right now in the comments. Would you guys want us to go live Wednesday, June 25th for the NBA draft this Wednesday? Tell me yes or no. Tell me yes or no, bro. I would love to. I think when we did it for the NFL draft, I loved it. I had so much fun with everybody. Everybody was commenting, thinking about what was
Now,
going
if
to
they
be.
don't want to go live,
I'm still gonna go live anyways.
wait, if
So
they don't want to go live for the NBA draft, then I better see all of you guys at Tainsware, 2655 South University Drive in Davie. I believe Wednesday is Gustav Forsling, Aaron Epblad, I believe. Let me double check the schedule. But for those of you who don't want to
yes, okay, bet.
say, yeah, okay.
Still says yes. All right. And then guess what? For any let me see here. Let me see. For any football players out there, if you guys show up to my restaurant, I will bring you a Miami Marlins player for a Miami Marlins card of some
I was
worth.
going to say a Miami Marlins player. Whoa.
No, not player, but like I'll bring you guys a card. If you can meet me there at the restaurant, I'll give you a card. But you got to show up. But overall, yeah, that's gonna have to do for today. Thank you so much for joining us. I had plenty of what restaurant? Oh, this
Oh,
is
yeah, I
my
was going to say, John
this is
does on an
my
episode tonight and didn't publicize his restaurant.
this is my family's restaurant. If you get us, I'll put it in the here. I'll put it in the
I haven't stopped by in a while, and I feel
yeah, bro. You're slacking, man.
I've been super busy. Well, I always tell your mom, let me take the bill, and your mom never lets me take the bill. So
Yeah,
I
look,
give
see
her
right here.
for that.
And you get that sandwich shop, 186 Northeast 29th Street, Miami, Florida 33137. David Beckham is a regular of ours. I'm trying to work out, see if I can get him to on the podcast one day.
That would be insane.
He's a great guy. Tomorrow we will be recording an episode with Kyle Lincoln, a good friend of mine from Drew Rosenhaus Sports. Hey,
That's a really big get too. I'm hoping to be on it. I don't know if you guys know, but Alexander Barkov will be at Canesware tomorrow night, along with earlier. Well, Barkov's like the in the prime time slot, 5:45 to 7:15 p.m. Nico Mikola and Nate Schmidt, who was one of those key free agents that we were talking about earlier on tonight's episode. They'll be at Canesware tomorrow. Again, Canesware all week long, Monday through Thursday. Let me provide you guys the address one more time for those who might want to come out. Just even if you stop by for 10 minutes, give me a quick shout out. It'd be nice to connect with some of you guys in the South Florida community. It's 2655 South University Drive over in Davie. That's 2655 South University Drive. We had Channel 10 over there today. Channel 7 I saw was there. Channel 4. But super nice guys over at Canesware. Jeff, Brett, Kenny, super nice guys. They're very welcoming. They always let me do what I got to do over there in terms of getting content for myself. So super welcoming guys. Hope to see you guys all out there. And, I believe you go on canesware.com. They have all the prices listed. If you want to get an autograph, if you want to get a picture, all the prices and, step by step, row by row, everything's listed on their website. Head over there. Super welcoming environment. You guys won't be disappointed. And a couple doors down, there's a nice sandwich shop too. So if you guys are hungry after, you want to get some food. But any final thoughts, Jonathan, before we log off?
Yeah, for anybody that wanted to know about where I sell my cards, I sell them on eBay, and then here I'm putting my username on the screen right now, GMJ_77. Yeah, you can if you have any players that you're looking for, DM me on my socials, Jonko Don't Stop or Canes Don't Stop. I'll see what I got in the inventory, and I can make you a deal or whatever. You let me know. I'm not too stingy, so most of my cards are like from $1 to $5, so don't stress too much. So and plus, if you're in South Florida, if you're like in the Miami area and you're close enough, I could hand deliver it to you personally. So, hey, you wouldn't even have to pay the delivery fee if you live by me. So, hey, just letting you know. So, just thank you so much again. I will be going live for the NBA draft. Hopefully, all you join me. Maybe I can try to get Daniel.
Maybe the Miami Heat make a shocking trade, and we're talking about maybe
we don't know.
Connecticut or Miami Heat uniform. But no, super fun episode tonight, Jonathan. Thank you for having me on.
And for anybody, and I'm going to say this before, I've been trying to get Brandon on it. Go and watch One Piece.
Oh my God, man.
Go and watch One Piece, the greatest work of fiction in the history of the world has ever seen. It's not too long. Stop being a baby about it. It's great storytelling. All right. We're gonna have to end it. We're gonna end it here. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys on Wednesday, and look forward to that episode with Colin Lincoln, the president of athlete operations for Drew Rosenhaus Sports. And we'll see you guys later. Thank you so much, and don't forget, support the troops.